Today we will talk about SHX, a little XLM because it relates into IBM because of its integration with IBM WorldWire, which also is what Stronghold USD runs on, and how Stronghold has been connected with IBM since the very start. But I really want to touch on a correlation in the charts in between SHX and IBM. And I will talk more about that in a bit. So we know that SHX is very connected into some very large organizations and companies. It is the only crypto service provider that is tied in to ACH payments that are worth over 80 trillion per year. Ripple is a key investor. IBM is a key investor. And then you have XLM, which has a lot of connections, not only in the technology of SHX, but you have people who actually came from XLM who are now with SHX. And then you have ties into FedNow. And there have been some hints of SHX working with large enterprises and governments, but you can't come out and actually say that because of NDAs. But it's pretty clear that they are tied into these kinds of entities, primarily because of the ties into all 12 of the Federal Reserve banks because of their involvement with trying to revolutionize ACH payments. And to just put this in perspective, I got into SHX a few months after I probably should have. And I got in after it had already done just about a 1.5 or 1.8x, and I didn't have a lot in it at all. Now it has become my largest holding by not only the number of tokens, but also by how much all of those are actually worth. It has actually gone past how much I have in XRP. So I believe that SHX is one of the opportunities that people who weren't here in 2016 and 2017 now have, because it has been so well kept quiet. And it has been kept quiet, but Tammy Camp has come out and put things on Twitter or X that are pretty vague, but she has been inactive for quite a while. And for her to just come back and start to post these extremely positive and inspiring, and it seems that it's just talking about things that are happening that she can't just come out and say. And to begin to tie IBM more into this, I did a video about a month ago now where in 2021, the price of SHX actually went all of the way up to just over 21 bucks. And whether or not we want to call it a glitch on an exchange, it did have a really interesting correlation to the IBM market cap at that point in time. So at that point in time, the market cap of IBM was worth about $150 billion. And if we assume that there were about half as many SHX tokens in circulation at that time as there are now, which would be about 7 billion, and those tokens had the market value of 150, that would come out to almost exactly 2142. And that number is important because on this chart here, if we go all of the way back to that point in time, which was December of 2021, all of a sudden the chart just shoots up to just over $21.60, which just so happens to be almost the exact amount that amount of SHX would be equivalent to. And if we make that same comparison to what it is today. So if SHX had the market cap of IBM now, it would be worth over 31 bucks. And if it had its all-time high, it would be worth over 45. So 97% of the world's largest banks are clients of IBM, and 90% of credit card transactions are processed on IBM. The world trusts IBM, and IBM trusts Stronghold. Stronghold provides the payment rails to connect the old system to the new, and that is Web3, that is blockchain. Here is an article from September of 2023 where we are talking about exactly that, how IBM is putting out the tech that things like SHX and Stronghold USD are going to be able to run on to connect all of these traditional financial institutions, particularly around ACH payments, into adopting crypto tech. And I have done a few videos now where I have shown how connected SHX is, and they are involved with the right kinds of people and the right kinds of events, and they have the right connections by way of who they are working with and who is invested in them. I did cover this recently, but Stronghold is the OG anchor on XLM, and an anchor is essentially a bridge that is able to make transactions that use different currencies happen, which sounds a lot like what XRP and XLM are concentrating on as well. And it's not a coincidence that the people and the organizations involved with SHX right now are all tied into XRP and XLM. This right here is talking about how they are an anchor on XLM again and how they work with credit issuance. This right here is going live in March and April and is for credit transfer between financial institutions. And if you look in here and if you search for credit, it talks about how IBM utilizes the XLM network and XLM itself as a bridge currency. All transactions in the XLM network occur in the form of credit issued by anchors, and Stronghold is an anchor. So we have what is close to a direct tie that says that Stronghold is an anchor and is providing liquidity for IBM WorldWire. This right here is the IBM Financial Transaction Manager, which is their products and offerings across all kinds of financial tech and financial services. And it does talk directly about ACH. And Stronghold is the only crypto fintech member in the NACHA. So now I want to talk about this whole chart and how it connects SHX and IBM. And if you begin to look at the points on this chart, it shows that when IBM has gone up, the price of SHX has followed it. It does not happen immediately, but it happens. So if you begin here when IBM was about 135 and it went up to about 162, that's just under a 20% increase. The price of SHX went from about 0.0007 up to about 0.0028, which is about a 4x. And then it did the exact same thing here. We went from a price of 162 on IBM up to about 189 or so. That went from 0.0036 all the way up to about 1 cent now, which is about a 3x in price. So it seems that the price of IBM increases first and then SHX comes along after, which I think shows that SHX is running on IBM and it's working very closely now. And I think that SHX is helping IBM price as well.